Alright, this is Ubaid on behalf of V Electronics, and in this video we're going to talk about hazards relevant to asymmetric information as well as adverse selection. Okay, so in the last couple of videos we've been talking about adverse selection as well as asymmetric information, where one party may have more information about the other party. For example, the seller may have more sensitive information about the buyer, as a result of which the transaction would go in the favor of the seller, but the seller may decide to take advantage of the buyer. Okay, now in this video, we're going to talk about some ways to reduce adverse selection. Okay, so ways to reduce adverse selection. Okay, an adverse selection would be relevant to fraud, maybe relevant to a scam, okay, so on and so forth. Now, one way to reduce some kind of fraud or scam in the financial market is to keep track of your transactions, to monitor your transactions. Okay, so say for example, you make a payment, all right, and you make that payment online for a certain service that you're not sure of. Okay, let's say you make a payment for you to get your trademark for your business. Okay, however, there's a website online that offers this trademark within a day. So rather than taking a week to get the same trademark via other means, you go for that website and make that payment. However, when you make that payment, you decide to use a credit card. Okay, now when you use that credit card, the payment shows up on your credit card, and you have a way to dispute that transaction if the website turns out to be a scam. So this is one way to monitor that transaction, where you're monitoring this transaction by making sure this transaction shows up on your statement, as a result of which you can dispute the transaction if the transaction turns out to be a fraud, or a scam. All right, so this is monitoring transactions. This is one way to reduce adverse selection. Monitoring transactions. Now, the opposite of using your credit card to make a payment for a transaction you're not sure of would be making a cash payment, for example, without a receipt. Now, when you make a cash payment, unless you're sure of what you're getting in return, you may end up with a lemon. Say, for example, if you go ahead and make a cash payment to a person who deals with trademark for a business, and it turns out that this person simply rips you off, you have no way, of proving this transaction, of proving that this transaction actually happened, as a result of which you will end up losing your money. All right, so this is monitoring transaction. Apart from monitoring transaction, another way to reduce adverse selection, this has to do with this has to do with collateral. All right, so this is collateral. And this is especially true when it comes to loans, when it comes to collateral loans, where somebody might give you a loan in exchange for your mortgage or your property that you may own, where if you do not pay the loan, he or she may have some kind of right to your property. He or she may be able to seize your property and sell it in the market. Now apart from that, another example of a collateral would be the insurance market, where the insurance companies, they do offer you insurance coverage, but at the same time, those insurance products, they come with collateral, which basically means that you end up paying the deductibles, if you end up in a collision, for example, where the deductible could be as high as $1,000 coming from your pocket if you end up with a collision. All right, so this is another way to reduce adverse selection. This is through collateral. Okay, so that will be it for this video. On behalf of V Electronics, this is Ubaid. Have yourself a great day.